So the first thing we're going to do is start with importing some more media. Remember we went over this in the first video. We would go to File, Import, and then we would select our footage. We could also do the drag and drop method, but I'm going to import this folder. There we go, there's our footage. So I'm going to go ahead and place this footage on the timeline so we have something to work with, so that when we go over these other additional concepts, we can also have some footage as well. So this video is about nature. So it has some different video clips of elements that show nature. Let's just take a quick look at it real quickly. There we go. So the first thing that we're going to go over is the Graphics Workspace Bar. So in a previous video, I told you about the different workspaces that Premiere has to offer, and the one that we primarily use is the editing workspace. Well, the next workspace that we're going to take a look at today is the Graphics Workspace. Let's go ahead and click it, and Premiere goes ahead and switches to this particular setup, which is called the Graphics Workspace. We're going to mainly focus on titles and adding shapes today. So let's first talk about creating text layers. To create a text layer, you would select the Type tool or the vertical Type tool from the Tools panel. So the Type tool actually looks like a T, and the shortcut code for it would be T. So if you were to click the key T on your keyboard, it would automatically go to the Type tool. But within the additional parameters, there's also what's called the vertical Type tool. The difference between the Type tool and the vertical Type tool is that the Type tool goes horizontally and the vertical Type tool goes vertically. So instead of the text going across, it would go down. For today, we're going to use the regular Type tool and type horizontally. Okay, so once I have my Type tool selected, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to click in the program monitor where we would like to position the text. So I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to type in nature. As you can see, when I started typing, the parameters of the graphics panel changed. Now in this particular panel, I have the different parameters I can change for this text that I just typed. The first thing we're going to talk about in creating this text is positioning our text. So originally I stated that you can type anywhere on the program monitor, and that will position your text. We can also use our mouse tool to move around the text, or even make it bigger or smaller in size. Okay, so just like any other software that hosts like Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint, Premiere sort of does the same features in terms of moving text around on the screen, or if it was a PowerPoint or presentation. So there we go, I've just made my text a little bit bigger. There are additionally some other parameters that I could do that we're going to go over. First, we're going to talk about the font. Let's say that I didn't like this particular font. I could also change the font. I could also change the orientation of the font. I could make it center text, left aligned, right aligned. And I can also change the color, the stroke, and add a shadow. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the color of this particular text. So to change the color down here where it's appearance, I would change the field to, let's say, let's see what black would look like. And let's add a stroke. Let's add a white stroke and make the stroke a little bit more defined. Over here you can see that I have my options that will allow the stroke width to be increased. There we go. So there's my text, and it's already appeared in my timeline. So now my text will show over this footage of the lake. Alright, so some more things we can do in the graphics panel. Another thing that we can do is called creating shapes. So we're going to create a shape layer. To create a shape, we would use the pen tool, but in the additional parameters, we could select rectangle or ellipse. I'm going to select a rectangle tool, and I'm going to put it in the bottom area. So as you can see, as I'm using the rectangle tool, it's allowing me to expand out or even shorten or lengthen the rectangle to my desired way. I use the mouse tool to move it around a little bit. And I'm going to change the field to white. And I'm also going to add some text on top of it. I'm going to say song provided by, and we'll just leave it like that. So other ways to make the text smaller, of course we can use these parameters, but we can also change the font size here in the text parameter. And then I'll use my mouse tool to move it to my desired location. So there I have my text, and I also have a graphic. So this is what it looks like. Another thing that I want you to take notice at is that Premiere, once we have our slider directly where we want our text, it will place the text there. Of course, we can shorten and lengthen it to our desired time frame, but it's already in the timeline. There's nothing else that we have to do to place it in the timeline. Well, there's a ton of more things that you can do in the graphics panel. And I'm sure once you really get into Premiere, you'll learn a lot more that is done within the graphics workspace. But for now, learning how to use basic shapes and text should get you started enough to create things like lower thirds or such. But for now, we're going to go ahead and move to the next section in this video, which are cuts and transitions.